So we grew up believing that greatness is beautiful. From a young age, we are taught to admire champions, the ones that win, the ones who dominate, and the ones who seem to bend reality into their favor. Their lives are presented to us like carefully edited highlight reels. It's filled with early mornings, intense workouts, and moments of victory that feel like really cinematic. And we're told that success is built on discipline, hard work, and belief. And naturally, we just begin to idolize them. And then we tell ourselves that one day, if we just push hard enough, we could be like them. But what if that picture is incomplete? What if the same traits that make someone extraordinary also makes them difficult to live with, difficult to understand, and sometimes even difficult to love? What if becoming a champion is not just about building yourself up, but also about stripping parts of yourself away? Because the truth is, greatness is not always pretty. In fact, sometimes it is super deeply uncomfortable. So, for example, Michael Jordan, who's widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Jordan's competitive spirit is legendary, but so is his intensity. Stories from his teammates describe a man who would create conflict where there was none. He would push others to their limits not through encouragement, but through confrontation. He wasn't just about competing against opponents, he was competing against everyone all the time. And to the outside world, that looks like passion, but to other people that are closest to him, it often feels like pressure. Or even consider Kobe Bryant, whose Mamba mentality has inspired millions. His dedication to the mastery was undeniable. He trains obsessively and demanded excellence. He also held himself into impossibly high standards, but that same mindset sometimes creates distance between him and others. Teammates have also spoken about how difficult it was to connect with him because he expected everyone to operate at the same level of obsession that he did. And this is the first crack in the illusion. The world always shows us the results, but not always the reality behind them. Champions are often praised for their discipline, but rarely do we talk about their imbalance. True greatness usually requires a level of focus that borders on obsession. It's not always all about balance in life. While most people seek balance in their lives, champions lean aggressively into one direction. Their craft becomes their identity, and everything else begins to orbit around it. Relationships, rest, and even personal well being can be secondary. This is not because they're careless, but because they're committed. However, commitment at that level comes with a cost. Now, another hidden trait is the tendency to take things personally. Many high level performers do not simply aim to win, they feel like they have to. They interpret challenges, criticisms, and even neutral situations as something to prove against. And this creates a constant internal pressure that fuels performance, but also prevents peace. Now, in many ways, their mind becomes a battlefield that never truly rests. Even for someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, known for his confidence and relentless drive, he embodies this mindset as well. His belief in himself is part of what makes him great, but it also comes with an intense need to prove that belief is right again and again. In every game, every goal, and every performance becomes another test. And when your life becomes a series of tests, it becomes very difficult to simply exist. There's also the element of emotional detachment. At the highest level, performance often requires a control over their own emotions. But over time, control can turn into suppression, and that's where champions learn to shut off parts of themselves that might interfere with their goals. Empathy, vulnerability, and even joy can become selective experiences, only allowed when they do not disrupt their performance. This does not mean that they lack humanity, it simply means that they have learned to prioritize function over feeling. Entrepreneurs are also not any different. Like Elon Musk, for instance, his ambition has led to groundbreaking innovations across multiple industries, from electric vehicles to space exploration, but his work ethic and expectations are famously intense. Stories of long hours, high pressures, and demanding standards are common among those who work with him. From the outside, it looks like a vision, but from the inside, it's just survival. Or Steve Jobs, whose pursuit of perfection helped build one of the most influential companies in the world. Jobs was known for his ability to push people beyond what they thought was possible, but also for being incredibly difficult to work with. His standards were so high that they often become at the expense of harmony. And again, the pattern repeats. The traits that build greatness are often the same traits that create friction. Perhaps the most unsettling trait of all is the inability to be satisfied. And for many champions, success does not bring peace. Instead, it raises the standard. What once felt like an achievement quickly becomes the new baseline, and this creates a cycle where they're constantly chasing something just beyond their reach. And winning isn't the end all be all. It does not end the journey, it extends it. And over time, this can be exhausting for the normal average Joe. This is where the cost becomes clear. Every strength has a shadow. Obsession builds excellence, but it can also destroy balance. Relentlessness creates results, but it can erode relationships. Emotional control enhances performance, but it can create distance between people. And these are the trade offs that are rarely shown to the public, and not everyone is ready to bear these traits. That's why not everyone can be great. We see the trophies, but not the tension, and we always see the success, but not the sacrifices that these people have to take. And this is why I like to argue the fact that it's not wise or ideal to go meet your idols, because sometimes, especially for the average Joes, it often feels disappointing. It's not because they're not good people or they're just bad people in general, because they are their own sort of humans that many people do not expect. The versions of them that many people admire is often a curated one, designed to inspire rather than to reveal. And when people finally encounter them in real life, they are faced with the full complexity of who they are inside. And most of the time, that complexity can be uncomfortable to most. Less friendly than imagined, less warm, less relatable than we hoped, or simply different from the version that we have in our minds, that we created in our minds. Not because they have failed us, but because we never saw the full picture to even begin with. So the real question is not whether champions are toxic. The real question is whether we truly understand what it takes to become a champion. Because greatness is not just built on positive traits like discipline and resilience, it is also built on traits that can be difficult to manage, difficult to balance, and sometimes difficult to accept. The goal then is not to reject these traits entirely, it is to understand them, to recognize that ambition can coexist with empathy, that discipline does not have to eliminate joy, and that success should not come at the cost of losing yourself. The challenge is learning how to pursue excellence without allowing it to consume everything else. Winning? To me, winning is only meaningful if I still recognize the person who achieved it. Instead of blindly chasing greatness, we should start asking a different question. Not how do I become like them, but what am I willing to sacrifice to get there? Once you know the answer to that, then you might start seeing your idols a little more differently. But what do I know? I'm not Kobe Bryant. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Nostalgia. I'm not a guru, or am I someone who spews fake motivation. I'm just doing some honest reflection about everything, mindset, performance, just lessons in life that I'm learning from everywhere. Games, TV shows, real life. All in the name of becoming a stronger human being. Subscribe and stick around.